but it was in the news on Wednesday that at our council meeting for Bloomsburg on Monday, there's a local developer, many of you know, who applied for a special exception for a data center in the town of Bloomsburg. And I want to clarify a couple things about this because data centers are such a hot issue right now. When we redid our zoning about 4 years ago, we were able to add in all sorts of classifications of businesses that had not been there prior because they hadn't really been amended significantly in decades. And the way that zoning works is that Pennsylvania law requires that any municipality has to find a place for every possible use, which I think as a representative and as someone who's interested in getting involved in state politics now, that's something that we need to be debating. However, we have to play with the cards we're dealt, and that's the way the state law is right now. So the way it works is that if someone comes with something that is not specifically enumerated on your zoning, you have to have an area where that would be allowed. So what we did in Bloomsburg was we said, okay, if someone comes with an industrial idea that we don't have enumerated, that would go to a particular industrial zone. And if someone came with a residential project that isn't enumerated, that would go to this other particular residential. And what this developer knew was that since data centers were not specifically listed, which is something that we had been talking about and he knew we were talking about, if he put in an application, that it would be automatically throw a hearing for a special exception to be accepted in the industrial district, which is where he owns this property. Now, from my conversations and understanding of the situation, there is no commitment, no contract, no even real discussion with any particular vendor or developer about a data center in Bloomsburg. However, by going through this process now, before we put on our moratorium on data centers that would allow us to take some time without this worry and fine-tune some of our other things, this will basically get him in under the line, which is frustrating, but the sky is not falling, fellow Bloomsburgers. As many of you know, we've been in litigation with the fair over the last year about the noise ordinance, and our noise ordinance held up in court. So we already have a noise ordinance that says anything cannot be higher than 65 decibels for more than 10 minutes at a time. That would be a restriction on data centers or any other industrial production facility, as it is with anything. The other thing is it would have to be in this particular industrial district, which would be where you would do anything down there anyway. So it's tucked away from a lot of residents. And what we will be able to do, though, is say, okay, we're going to put this moratorium in, and we're going to define the setbacks and other things that would be required for a data center. Now, because he put this application in ahead of time, some of those things are not going to apply to him. But as far as the water usage, which is one of the major concerns that people have with data centers, we are on municipal water and sewer. So any water that would be used would have to be cleared with Veolia water and have a plan set up, same as any other industrial use that we have in town. There would not be any wells to be poisoned or anything like that, or taking water from just the groundwater system. And also any discharge would have to go to our municipal authority sewer plant. So I know that every time data centers get brought up or meetings with townships and municipalities get brought up about data centers, everyone thinks that one's coming. And sometimes they are. But in this case, we don't have any reason to think that one is coming. And we're pretty well set up for most of the guide rails that other municipalities are working on already for these things. What we're going to be able to do is take some time and fine tune it. So, fair people of Bloomsburg, please do not worry too much about this. It's a frustrating situation because certainly I don't think that many of us in town would be interested in this particular use. However, we already have industrial uses for other things, and in all honesty, if it weren't a data center, it could be many other things that would probably be more frustrating to local residents. So back to my initial point, There seems to be no reason to believe that there will actually be a data center coming, as much as someone's kind of hedging their bet that maybe this will make their property a little bit more attractive should that come into play. My personal feeling at the moment is that there is just a shotgun blast of where can we get these things in from the data center industry. And many of our municipalities and communities are doing the right thing by saying, whoa, we're putting on moratoriums, they're working on their zoning, and they're tightening down the rules on that zoning as best they can. We'll never please everyone. And I do think that the state needs to reevaluate the rules for zoning. And because we have so many different little municipalities all over our state, that all are adjusting their priorities right now in their zoning. But there could be some higher level direction from the state. And I think that that's warranted. And if this is the particular issue that brings some of that to the front, then I think it's a worthy discussion to be having in our state legislature. And it would certainly be something that I'd be looking to do should I go to Harrisburg. So that's what, but it was